Today I'm starting my water pump change on this car. I've already taken the front panel off, two side panels and the engine cover. I've got them sitting here on the side. You know, if you don't know how to take those panels off yourself, you shouldn't be doing this anyway. So first thing you gotta do is take off this ram intake air. So you unscrew the 10mm there, and then pop this clip out. My clips are broken, so from last time when I did my spark plug, so just kind of sitting there, and the thing just kind of comes off like that and comes off all in one piece. So down there. As you take these clips and bolts apart, just make sure that you put them away somewhere. So right now, you know, you basically have, you can see the upper radiator hoses, the lower radiator hose, and the reservoir. You kind of got to unscrew all that stuff and get it out of the way so you can get to the water pump bolts back there. The pulleys right there, the four bolts back there. And then, you know, you got to unscrew all these, you know, unclip all these clamps and everything for the hoses on top. So, all right, so I'm back at it. I've set up my water pump install. I get all my gloves, get everything ready. I got all my tools set up. So I'm actually following the guide on Club Lexus. There was a thread for the IS250 water pump install on Club Lexus a couple years back, so I'm following that thread today. I've gathered all my tools. I've got them here. I've got them, all my socket wrenches on the ground. I'm probably just going to follow step by step on what the Club Lexus outline goes by, so bear with me. So actually, the first thing I had to do was I needed to actually get under the car, remove the panels, and drain the coolant out of the system before I start loosening all this stuff up top. Alright, so I'm underneath the car. Gotta take off this lower panel so when we drain the radiator fluid and the water pump, we don't get crap all over the panel and have to clean it. So that way I let it all drip to the floor onto my this cardboard, and it's easier to clean off. So this panel is actually held on by, I think, 11 or 12 10mm screws. So I got my drill down here. I'm just gonna shoot them all off. Then
two clips on either side that attach to the fender lining, so you just pop those clips off with a screwdriver. If you've ever changed your oil, there's 3 screws for the oil. You probably don't need to remove that because that's all part of this panel down here.
Got the flathead. First one's off. Oh crap, shit everywhere. Mostly just dirt and dust. And get that off. These clips. I figured out. But there's still one more clip in the center in the dip here. Same clip as it. This is the clip tool. A little bit easier to get to in here since this is it's inside a weird tight spot. Oh shit, popped it right off. Alright, so yeah, you can come down here. You see the belt, see everything up there, so, and then there's a panel right there. Yeah, if you're a clean freak, you could probably just hit this with compressed air, get all this dust and 10 years of crap off of it. Right. So after I got all the panels off, first thing I'm gonna do is get my old trusty oil pan out. Underneath, since I got all the panels removed, it's this nice clear shot. There's actually from here, and you know, if you didn't want to take off these panels, the radiator actually has a little knob at the bottom. I'll show you here of the, so that this is the release, you know, the little white plug is the release plug, but then this actual spot right here is actually the downspout for the fluid to drain. So if you, some people would just put a hose on this and then loosen that and then let it drain through. But since I was gonna, you know, I took all this off because when I take the water pump out above there, it's gonna drip a bunch of fluid down. So I just wanted to take the panels off. But the taking the panels off is totally optional if you don't. Alright, so I let it drain, got everything out. It's just dripping now, so I'm gonna just screw this back in. So after letting that, I see why people use the little tube to kind of channel the fluid down more so it doesn't splash everywhere. I'm gonna replace my radiator hoses on this project too, so I'm gonna go ahead and just take care of it down here. My car's it's 11 years old. It's got about 90,000 miles on it. It's the hoses are in pretty good condition from just actually feeling it and looking at it. There's no cracks. My car's always been garage kept except when I'm parked at work, so well maintained. So the hoses aren't really that bad a condition, but you know, they were, I think I paid $30 for the lower hose, and then the upper hose I should have paid the $20 for the OEM one on eBay. It's cut to length, it just bolts right on. I bought an aftermarket one on Rock Auto, and that one ended up being, it was only $10 or $9, since I was already paying for shipping for my water pump. So but you have to cut that one to work. So what I'm gonna do, the clamps down here, they've got the compression clamps, so you just clamp it. It's actually, it's one of those that you can actually clamp and slide to the side and it'll stay open, and then you clamp it again and close, but you need another set of pliers to do that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna slide it off to the side, kind of leave it there, and then, you know, just this thing, it's original. So what you gotta be careful though, I've heard other people, depending on what condition your radiator's in, you wanna work this thing so that way you don't break your radiator down here. So I've got these channel locks, so what I'm gonna do is just I'm gonna set it to this biggest setting and put it around and just kind of work my back and forth. Pretty easy. It's already broken loose, but you know, I just kind of work my way out. And just in case of any fluid, I'm just gonna put my over there. But yeah, so once it's broken loose, it slides right off like butter. So. So we're back at the top again. Got my radiator cap has been loose. So what I'm gonna take out this reservoir, the white reservoir. Just take the cap off here. Kind of swing it off to the side. It's actually got two 10mm right here that just hold it off. Might as well do the upper hose now. Same process here. The upper hose is actually connected to the, if you look closely on here, it's right there. So it's actually connected to the thermostat, the new thermostat housing, or the thermostat housing. So I'm gonna replace the thermostat on this project too. So you know, you could probably just fucking around and getting that clip off. I found out the radiator clip, the thing is actually, it's kind of weird. If you look down into it, shit, where are you? Yeah, it's right here. See this little clamp right there? There's actually, you just kind of squeeze the top and the bottom. That's what I was doing. I only squeezed one side and I couldn't get the teeth to release on the other side. So that's where I screwed up and basically almost broke it. It's hanging on by a thread right now, but oh well. I'll just deal with it. So I just press that in and leave it for now. Next thing I'm going to remove is there's a plastic panel right here that covers the injector. The injector
box here that we eventually moved to the side. There's these two little plastic type screws. They're the same one that kind of hold the clips on. Got the clips with screw those two off my hand and just slide the covers off. Actually, there's another one that hold the bumper stuff on, so you screw this off. So 3 of those. these three right here, got those off. It should pop off now. Yeah. The years of the glue and on the foam and all that, I've kept it on, so I got that taken off. So I just put this off to the side.
Next, there's another cover right here on the water inlet. Same type of screws. There's one right here on the bottom. You just unscrew. There's another one over somewhere. Yeah, there's
three of them. Just kind of unscrew them. Probably easier if I just take off the top radiator hose right now. So I'll just go ahead and do that. See once I take this off. Put it there. Yeah, the thing with buying the OEM hoses too, they've got all the markings to line up with everything. That's what the aftermarket hose didn't have. But I gotta take, go ahead and squeeze it there. Loose. And then same on the radiator side. The radiator side should be easier because it's plastic. So it should break loose if I just turn it once. So it's loose. So I get that. I just pull it around the inlet. It's a little bit harder maybe pulling out of the radiator. First might be easier. It's a short hose, so not much play here. Not much room for it to bend and flex. Got that. Oh shit. Of course. Got some rags. They dripped everywhere. And there. So got that guy. Second one. Third one. Three of them. Not breaking. I got that cover up.
cooler or the water pump. So, you know, it's going to be obvious. It's the 4 right here. And you want to do that now while there's tension on it. So I'll just go ahead and finish the 3/4 inch converter. Put it on. They sell a special tool that holds the pulley, but you know these aren't really that tight, so you want to just loosen them now while you can, while you got some tension on.
Pretty easy loosening.
To release the tension, you actually have to just put the bar in and turn it left, and it releases the tension on the belt, and that's when you pull the belt off the.
Pull the belt off first. Very soon, so this belt off.
You know, 90,000 miles. It's still in pretty damn good condition for a 90,000 mile belt. No cracks. You know, I could have reused it, but you know, for $13, I'll just go ahead and replace it for now. It's gonna either replace it now or replace it later. Time's more valuable than $13, so I'm gonna go ahead and replace it. I don't know who made this OEM belt. I think people always talk about Bando or Mitsubishi or replace it. There's no, this particular belt doesn't have any markings on it, so I don't know. I'm replacing it with a Bando made in the USA belt. This is probably a Mitsu belt because it was, you know, the car was made in Japan. It's original. I don't know if the markings just wore off or they just didn't have the markings on it. So anyway, just this side. All right, so in order to take the water pump off, you have to take the pulley. So
I'm loosening the bolts that I want to take out the bolts I loosened earlier. Take the pulley off. Do it by hand.
Pulley comes right off. Here's it's covered with all the leaking water pump crust. You could clean that off while you have it all off. So let's put that away. All right, so after we loosen the 4 bolts for the water pump pulley, we gotta loosen the tensioner for the belt. So the tensioner, if you look down into here, the tensioner is actually the middle one here. So it's in the middle. This is I think this is just the freewheel for the belt, but this one's actually the tensioner that puts tension on it. So you want to loosen that right now so you can take your belts out. Off. So like I said earlier, the tensioner is a reverse thread, so you turn it left to take off. So tensioner pulley comes right off here. Pop the idler arm or the idler wheel. That one's got a standard thread, so you go lefty loosey.
And that's another one that once you loosen it.
Got that off. So I finally got all the stinking hoses off. This bottom smaller hose that goes in the engine block made it rain all the way down into the, luckily I had, it got everywhere over here, but luckily I had the pan underneath, but so I ended up wiping everything up under here. So next thing I'm gonna do is remove, I believe there's two 10. So now it's loose. Perfect. Got that baby out. Right here, the whole water inlet assembly taken off right here. This is your thermostat. Shit's dripping everywhere. And don't forget to, so your water pump comes with two of these, two O-rings that you replace. So this is one O-ring you replace, and the other one's actually on the water pump itself. So now you look in here, kind of got your water pump. This hose is in the way, but there. The next thing you have to take apart is the fuel injector box here. This one's got 3 10mm. Just unscrew it and actually just put it off to the side. You don't have to unplug anything. So I'll do that now.
10mm screw there. And kind of pops off. It's kind of tuck it to the side.
Yeah, once you get in there, you got, there's the one side of the water pump, the other side. Now there's 12 screws, 10 and 12mm that you got to read. So I'm starting to take off all the screws. I'm actually using my battery ratchet. I started with the 12mm first because those are the big ones. So I'm just shooting them all off. I've taken a couple off already, but threads aren't that long, but since there's 12 of them, I just wanted to use this so it's faster. You can do it by hand.
It's still starting to leak now, so I better put some towels down. A's and B's just to see. It's wrong.
Looks like the B and C same length. The C bolt actually has a little blue marker on it. It must be a little stronger one, but the same length. The thread length, the one's threaded all the way to the end, the other one's not. So that's the difference between the C and the B. Last bolt. Got that bad boy out. Comes out with the gasket and assembly right there. Right, so this is the OEM Toyota AISIN one that came out of the car. As you can tell, this is actually, I think someone was telling me this is kind of the fail indicator or something, where the when this thing's starting to fail, when it starts to bleed and crap comes out of here, and then it kind of sits on top of your you'll see the crust on top of your oil filter. So one of the things with this, if you look closely, it's got the date code. So this is the original to the car. I've got an 07 that was built in January of 07, so this was actually manufactured in 1206. I actually ended up buying the aftermarket. Really, it's an OEM one. It's still an AISIN brand. It's actually the Toyota one. They actually shaved off the Toyota and the AISIN, and they just put their AISIN label right here on it with a sticker. But it's, all intents and purposes, is the same exact one. I paid $89 or something like that from Rock Auto with a 5% off, and had to pay shipping, and ended up being around $95. And Amazon has it for about the same price. The part that pissed me off was when the original OEM one was actually $125 or $130 on eBay the same time I bought this, and I knew this was the exact same one, you know, without the Toyota box, and that's why I ordered it. But then a week after I got the actual OEM one decided to go on sale on eBay for $95, and it was, you know, I couldn't return it since I bought it from Rock Auto. If I would have ordered it from Amazon, paid the taxes and all that, I probably would have shipped it back and gotten the OEM one with the Toyota box, and, you know, without this, you know, without that shaving off, just you know, since it was the same price. But you know, if you're gonna order this, maybe look out on eBay. If this thing's $95, I would go for the OEM one, Toyota one, for $95 in the Toyota box, versus, you know, the AISIN one, which goes for $89 to $95 all day on Amazon and Rock Auto. So, but anyways, I'm gonna clean up some of these bolts. They're all covered in shit right now. So, and then put it all back together. So, as I prepare to put the new water pump in, one of the things you'll notice is when you take it off, there's gonna be dirt and grime and all kinds of shit all around where the gasket's gonna go from years of just use. So what I'm doing, I'm just doing a quick cleanup, wiping all around the edges, kind of use some of the coolant as a lubricant, as a cleaner, to just kind of clean it all off. And then also, you know, over the years, kind of just the pressure and dirt and stuff has gotten onto the actual face, the mating surfaces for the thing. So I'm gonna take I've got a little red Scotch-Brite pad, Brillo pad. I'm just gonna hit those edges, kind of clean them up, get all the gunk out of them, so the new gasket has a nice spot to sit on. Just kind of buff it right up. It's taken. So I put the new water pump in. I started with the 10mm screws. I kind of just hand screwed them, and then now I got all the 10mm in, so I'm doing the 12s. Shooting them in with this just to get them on before I torque them tight. So now that I got them all hand tightened, I'm gonna torque everything down. I'm gonna start with the bigger bolts, the A bolts, the 12mm. Those are rated at 15 foot-pounds of torque. With the torque them all down. So I'm gonna start on one side and work my way across. And 15 foot-pounds is not that tight. I mean, it's not that much force, so don't overdo it and, you know, break or strip or snap a head. So. So I've got those all tight. The 10mm are all 6.5 foot-pounds, which is next to nothing. I mean, hand tightening those. Those for sure you don't want to over tighten because you're going to snap plenty of those babies in my Honda days. Once you have them all tight and torqued down, make sure you change your O-ring up here and then the O-ring right there. And I'm gonna move onto the thermostat now. So I'll just do the thermostat housing right here. So I've got my replacement thermostat. This one's held on by 3 10mm. Then my OEM thermostat here, bought it on eBay. I think it was anywhere from, I initially paid $30-something for it, and the price dropped to $23, and I got a refund from the seller because it was still in transit when that price dropped, so they were pretty good about it. Right now I think it's trending for around $25, 2018. So alright, once I loosen them, I could probably just hit them with the drill. And pops right out. Don't be a rookie. It looks like the original gasket was stuck on there, so you want to make sure you peel that off and it comes off with your old thermostat, because the new one already has the gasket on it, so you don't want to double gasket it. I know some people have done that with oil filters in the past, and you know, they ended up doing a second oil change. Alright, place that on there, tighten it up. Hand tighten these, I'm not gonna bother torquing them. There's a gasket there, it'll be fine. So now I'm ready to get back in it. So I'm gonna kind of work my way around all the hoses, kind of get it through first before I bother with the hoses. So main thing I want to do is get the line it up with the peg at the bottom and just firmly press it in to get this up. Get the screws that I took off earlier.
Pack that in. Put these two top, the two clean ones. One clean one here. And then underneath. And those I'm just gonna hit with my electric drill.
Just hit these the same. Yeah. Start putting the hoses on. So slide that hose on.
Squeeze it and push it in. And clamp it. There. This one down here is pain. I gotta make sure I clamp it open when I slide it in, so it'll go in correctly.
So I'm continuing my reassembly. After I put this back on, I ended up bolting the driver, the injector driver back on. What I'm going to do now, before I put the radiator hoses on, I'm actually going to hand thread this thing back on. I cleaned out all the gunk and everything inside of here, just to make sure it's all nice and clean before I put it back in. Just kind of wipe the dirt and dust off on the outside. Like to keep everything clean.
I'm gonna do that. When you are putting everything back together, make sure you get all your bolts.
The eyeler tensioners, the tensioner and the aisle. You gotta pay attention to the, when you took it apart, the actual tensioner has a bolt that says L, as the L for the left-hand thread, and then the other one. I think these wheels might be the exact. I don't know if they're the same. They look. No, they're not. Yeah, the eyeler has a different type of bearing than this one does. So I'm just tightening this down. These are actually idler arms and tensioner. They're 32 foot-pounds of torque. So earlier when I was saying the 4 bolts on the water pump pulley are only 15, so they're not that, they don't require that much torque. Hand thread tight. Switch it, reverse it for the left-hand thread tensioner. Anyway. So here's my replacement belt. It's a Bando. Here's the part number. This guy, basically, this belt's used in so many different Toyotas. A bunch of Toyotas use this, the V6 Toyota belts, but it's a very high quality OEM belt. They make a lot of the OEM stuff for all the Hondas and Toyotas and stuff. So this one's actually got the nameplate on it, and that's what I was saying about the other belt. I don't know if it just wore out over time for the last 11 years, or it just didn't come with any markings, but I didn't see any. So kind of just snake this baby in. So I finally got the belt through. It was a weird little pattern that looped between the water pump and the main crank and power, or the alternator and AC compressor, but finally got it in the right position, and I ended up, a good thing I took a picture of it before I started, but I got it in there. Now I'm trying to torque the pulley tight. So one of the things right now with tightening it, it spins, so I'm using a big screwdriver. You could use a breaker bar or something. I'm just kind of wedging it between the two of the nuts, or 2 of the bolt heads, and then just kind of hold it in place while I get the 15 foot-pound tight. So I think I'm pretty good there now. I'm gonna go ahead and work on my hose. So now I'm gonna do working the hoses. Both of these, this is the original hose. This is the OEM Lexus Toyota replacement hose. Exact same length, no need to cut, it fits perfect. What I noticed is my old one, even though it's in very good condition, nothing seems to be wrong. I can probably go another 100,000 miles on this hose. And the new one's a little bit stiffer, it's brand new rubber. So as far as build quality goes, looks like it's made by the exact same manufacturer. It's got, the OEM one's got the Toyota markings all over it. The original factory one's got similar markings. I don't know if it's from the same supplier or not, but the build and just even the mold and all that looks like it is from the same manufacturer, but anyways, or built to the same spec. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to transfer the hose clamps over and then kind of get this put together. So the top with a little notch on the thermostat housing. So OEM position. Looks good. Alright, so we're at the top hose now. So this is the OEM one that I just pulled out of here. You can tell it's got, you know, it's shorter. It's got the markings for the lineup with everything. One thing I didn't mention earlier was that I ordered an aftermarket one from Rock Auto, and it's not exactly, you know, it was made by, it was a Dayco brand one. It was $9. This one, at the time when I ordered this one, it was $24, $25. So I was like, screw it, I might as well get the $9 one. It's but I didn't know that it wasn't the exact same hose. It was a cut to fit hose that had this similar bend, and should have known, because when I did look at it, it lists a bunch of other cars other than the IS, and you know, maybe some of these cars are a little bit longer and it doesn't, you know, need it. So what I'm about to do is basically measure this and just cut it to fit. So I finally trimmed this aftermarket hose all the way down to get it as close as possible to the OEM hose. I've test fitted a couple times, but it works now. So if I would have known, I would have just spent the extra $10 and gotten the OEM one. Alright, so I got everything. Hose is all clamped in. Everything's done. I'm going to start putting everything, all the covers back on. So first cover I'm going to do is this one under here that goes over harness, or the cover on this side. Alright, so continue putting all these covers.
These things, they're gonna have to screw them in, just push them in, I think, no? Maybe. Maybe they screw them in. Yep, they do. But they were, the ones you can just push right in, but.
Kind of wraps it up right there. So after that, just put your air duct back in, covers, refill your fluids, and make sure there's nothing leaking. So I've got everything back together. I'm gonna end up filling it up with this Toyota 50/50 long life antifreeze that I bought at Toyota dealer. You get, I think, 2 gallons for about $50. Most dealerships.